Hey, everybody. Welcome to Buzzing About Romance. I am Becky, and joining me for this episode is Heather. Heather, I thought maybe you ran away.
I am still upright. I
You're
know.
still
And
around.
it's summer. I'm supposed to be less busy in the summer, and that's actually not how it works.
And Leah's here. Hi, Leah.
Hi.
Um,
Yeah, we're busy as fuck right now too. It's ridiculous.
Jesus.
yeah, I mean, this summer has flown by. August
It
is
is August
tomorrow,
tomorrow.
right?
Tomorrow is
We
August.
are not talking about August.
But
Okay.
how?
It is
How is
July
it already
forever.
here?
Today it is July
Mm-hmm.
forever.
Mm-hmm. I know. Stupid.
Okay, speaking of the month that we're not talking about, if you're part of our Patreon, you have gotten September's lineup for Sip and Discuss episodes. Um,
Yes.
it will be up on the website on Saturday. I was waiting for the book club vote that's taking place right now and ends tomorrow. Our September book club author is author Daisy Jane, and I've not read her.
I have not read her either.
She
I
has some
have.
spicy books, people.
Is
She
there a
has
lot of
some.
plot?
Nope, not a lot of plot. And you know that one kink that we talk about sometimes that everyone's like, mm.
Um, you have to specify because there's actually a
Yeah.
lot of those.
Yeah.
um, well, your favorite breeding, and
Oh, I
then
like a good breeding.
also the milk kink.
Oh, you cows.
Yeah.
You. She has some femdoms. That's what I. That's the
Yeah.
route I went.
Yeah, she has femdoms. There's some choices. So if you're in our Patreon, make sure you head over there today or tomorrow and get your vote in for September's book club. Um,
And if you're not in Patreon, but you do get the newsletter, once all the books are chosen, I will be putting it in the newsletter as well.
yeah, we have a heavy newsletter this week going out.
We do, because Bookcase Media has been pretty busy. Our authors are really busy. So,
Yeah, it's been a good month just this week
mm,
really for Bookcase Media clients, which is
uh-huh.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Um so on we'll get let's get what we're here about and then we'll talk about other things as we go. Um okay,
sure. Because we'll stay on topic.
we will stay on topic. Although Leah's read this book
I have.
and you read it when it came out.
Uh, yes. Or maybe prior to release, but around the time it came
Okay.
out.
Um instead of rereading it, she read some breeding shifter romance.
Yeah, it happens.
Okay. So hopefully Leah
I've ha-
remembers the
I
plot
have
of the
read
book.
this. I have read this twice. I will say that because I read it like either before it came out or when it came out because I don't remember if this is one of the ones I got early. Sometimes I get them early, sometimes I don't. Um, but yeah, I've read it twice, so I know what's going on. And if you hear screaming in my background, I
It's
apologize.
fine. So stick with us for the next little while as we break down the enchanting details of Shielding Ember by Susan Stoker. This fits into our theme this week, which seems to be Olympic sports.
Hmm.
We have, speaking of this, who has been watching the Olympics over the last couple days? I know that the group chat is a little insane for Stephen N.
Oh
Yeah,
my God, I love him so much.
I mean,
He's so cute.
I love a nerd. I love a nerd who accepts and like calls out like I am a nerd and owns that, but then also like is like super talented
Only on the
at the
pommel
same
horse
time. Only in the pommel horse. But if
And the Rubik's Cube.
and the
He
Rubik's
but
Cube.
if
That's not
you've
an Olympic
read
sport.
anything, so he goes to Penn State. He's a PSU kid. Like he did really well in the Penn State gymnastics. Yay, Penn State. Um, but so as a gymnast, like on the team, like growing up, like he found that like he was just kind of average and everything else, but he really like excelled at the pommel horse. And so that's like what he focused on. He's like, this is what I'm good at. So I'm gonna go for that. So
He
like
was so cute during the all around, taking water and towels to all his teammates and
like
hyping them up.
he is like the hype guy that you want. Like
Yeah.
that boy, because I mean, he could be my baby. That boy, like that is sportsmanship at its finest. Like that kid was raised right.
And then my girl crush, the queen of the 2024 Olympics, Iona Maurer,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Yes.
she and her team of
Mm-hmm.
women's U.S. Rugby 7, because there's a difference apparently.
Yes.
Their Rugby 7, they won bronze. It is the first time ever that women's Rugby 7 U.S. has medaled.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she is owning this Olympics. And Heather's fandoms crossed over because have you seen the TikTok of Jason Kelsey
Oh yeah, I
wearing
have.
the Ion?
Yes.
Well,
Um,
he arm wrestled them.
Well, he arm wrestled them, but
yeah.
then he went and he was in a suite with her sisters and her mom and dad,
Mm-hmm.
and her dad teaches Jason how to throw the the ball and how to catch it,
Mm-hmm.
and then they give him and Kylie Kelsey one of the shirts with her face all over
I was
him.
gonna say, I am though. We can't talk about the Olympics without talking about the U.S. women's gymnast,
Mm-hmm.
Suni Lee. She's
Yeah.
from Minnesota, and she is crushing it along with Simone Biles, the Golden Girls. But
Yeah.
Suni Lee she's so great, and she is a gymnast at the University of Minnesota, so she's a
That's
golfer.
very exciting. Yeah, they are
Mhm.
crushing it. I mean, they won gold on their team, but the men, like Steven clinched the bronze for them, but it was the first time in like
And
16 years.
along.
16 years
Yeah.
that the men's team has medaled, which is very exciting because like women's
Mhm.
gymnastics has like it always gets the hype. But like
Absolutely.
men's gymnasts, like those are some top-notch athletes.
Yeah.
I feel like we also should shout out to the crocheter that is the diving
Oh,
for
But he's
Tom
knitting.
Daly.
or
But he's
knitting. Sorry,
British. Does it
Tom,
count?
it doesn't
British.
matter.
No, it
We
doesn't
still
matter.
love him.
His
Yeah.
husband is American, though, I believe.
They have two
They,
small
they're
children.
they're
They're
freaking
adorable.
adorable. Yeah.
Adorable.
I think they had like Team Daddy or like their shirts had something about him on the back. It was freaking so cute.
Did you
Yeah.
watch any of that synchronized diving?
I just have seen replays. It's
It's
intense.
freaking intense.
Like diving itself is very intense, but like the synchronized, like there's so much care and thought and chaos that goes into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's impressive.
So I do want to shout out there were two Olympic swimmers. They've known each other since they were, or no, Olympic divers, synchronized divers, women.
Okay.
They've known each other since they were 8.
Mm-hmm.
And 4 years ago, the one girl didn't make the team,
Okay.
but she made the team this year. They were able to do their synchronized diving together, and they won bronze.
That's exciting.
Bronze or
Love
silver, I can't
that.
remember. But they're best friends, they're roommates, they live
Mhm.
together. It's really sweet. Just, I don't know. I love a girl gang, and we saw
I
like
do
a
too.
girl gang at the
Well, and I
Olympics.
love that like some of the not so popular sports for the most part are getting more recognition this year,
Yeah.
which I mean, Snoop is helping that with his badminton commentary. Like, did you listen to any of that?
No, but I
I
have
go
been
back
watching
and
Kevin Hart and Keenan do their wrap up every night on
yeah.
Peacock.
But yeah, you have to listen to
So
Snoop's
good.
badminton. But I like the fact that they're really focusing on like the not so typical sports. Like, yes, like the other stuff is getting tons of coverage because of
Sure.
the way it's streamed this year, which I really, like I said in the episode, I really enjoy the fact that you can kind of pick and choose everything. But like, it's nice that like you can see the sports that you might not have watched before because they're not as popular.
I
Although
did
I will
learn.
say, we were watching stuff the other day and you could hear it was tennis. Nora had put it on and you could hear all the matches, but there was nothing happening on the screen. And she's like, what match are we supposed to be watching? I'm like, I don't know, kiddo. That's a good question.
I did learn
Tennis.
today that the men's U.S. basketball team have a candy coach. He carries buckets of different candies for the guys. They are obsessed with like nerds and runts and all sorts of different kind of like
I
hard
like a good
candies.
runt. Just the bananas.
And I'm
but
like, who's eating candy in the middle of a basketball game?
Professional
apparently,
athletes are.
I mean, they do.
You
I
know,
know they burn calories. Anyway, um, So yeah,
Anyway, back to the book.
back to the book. So the book this week was Shielding Ember by Susan Stoker. Now, right now, this book is wide.
Yes.
But Stacy mentions in the chat that she has not yet read this because she saw that Susan is putting it into Kindle Unlimited in mid-August and she's going to binge them all.
Yeah.
So
she is dropping it. She's actually, when I talked to her the other day, she basically has to wait for all of the links and books to drop off of all the sites before she can slide it over
there. Yeah. So if you haven't watched it, you might want to wait and save this episode because we are going to spoil it.
If you haven't read it.
Did I say watch it? Cheese and rice. If you haven't read this yet or listened to the ebook or the audiobook, oh God. If you haven't listened to the audiobook,
words are hard tonight.
They are hard. You might want to pause things and wait until it slides into Kindle Unlimited and then come back and listen because we are going to spoil this.
Yeah. Happy listening, friends.
Yeah, stick around because we're going to spoil the heck out of this. Okay, Heather, do you want to give us the things to know before we start?
Sure. Release date was September 14th, 2021. Subgenre is romantic suspense and interracial romance. The tropes are close proximity, protector romance, security force, stalker, sports, Olympic, slow burn.
Real quick, before you go any farther, this is an interracial romance, and I will say, Susan, in her dedication, lists her 2 sensitivity readers, BIPOC women, that read this book to make sure that she handled all topics well and with care.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that a little later here, but I do want to note, the other thing is I didn't list those as a trope, interracial romance. It's not a trope. It is a subgenre. So I made that distinction because I want to make sure we're being respectful of what it is.
I also like famous person and like, not famous.
Yeah.
It would be like celebrity norm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the word.
And
I'm
he's
for.
active duty military. I didn't add that in there either.
Yeah, they are active duty.
The series is Delta Team 2. It is a series of standalones. It is third person dual point of view. Pop put out percentage is 78%.
It might have been closer to 82. It's hard to tell on the audiobook.
I looked today. I Googled the words. It was 78%.
Okay.
Oh, I start a little bit when they're doing...
no, I went when the P went into the V.
Right. There was like an intense makeout session, like when she was intoxicated and he kept telling her, lay down.
I guess my 75% is the foreplay.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, audio narrators, Nina Archer. The book is currently...
Did you do the audiobook? Heather, did you do the audiobook? I did this audiobook. I spent a Kindle credit or Audible credit on it. It is done by one narrator, and I didn't realize it was one narrator until I went to put this form together. Like, it sounds... Her narration of the dude is fantastic, is phenomenal.
I don't think I've ever listened to this narrator before.
It was will be going so to search for her from now on. It was so phenomenal and so well done. Like, I was like, what? There's only one narrator? She sounded like a dude. I also want to say, caveat this audiobook is only available in Audible. It's not anywhere else, and that was a little frustrating for a wide book to only have the audiobook available on Audible. Like, I checked Hoopla. I looked in my library to see if I could request the title. Like, a month ago, I went looking. You know how, Libby, like, you can request to add titles to your library. I went looking to request it. It's not even available for request. I called my local librarian, and it's because it's on Audible exclusive. And there's a business reason authors do this. But for people that are relying on audiobooks that are Audible exclusive, it's really frustrating when a book is wide. Because at least for a Kindle Unlimited book, I can borrow the KU book and then get the Whisper Sync price of $7.49 or $8 or whatever it is.
$7.49.
But with that book being wide, I had to buy the book at $4.99 and then turn around and buy the audiobook. So that's why it was worth an Audible credit, because it would have been, and then to buy it straight as an audiobook, it was $27.97 on
Oh.
Amazon. So
I did check mine out from the library.
your
because
audiobook?
No, the ebook.
Yeah, the
because
ebook was in
The
library.
ebook is available.
Yeah.
I think at one point this was in Kobo, and if I remember correctly from her newsletter, she had said that it had been in Kobo, and she had to pull it because you have to like clear it, which makes sense. So I think I had it in there, and I was like, it's in there, and then I was like, oh poop, it's not. So found it on Libby.
Yeah, the audiobook, but the audiobook's only on Amazon. And Susan isn't the only author that does this, that makes the business choice to leave their audiobooks only available on Audible. Yeah. It's the main audiobook platform. But it is a little frustrating as somebody that does 5 to 6 audiobooks a month at least, that it's not done in a way that's affordable. And if you're going to have a wide book and not make it available everywhere, it just, particularly because we get some authors who are kind of preachy about like, I need to be wide because I want to be in libraries. But then you go and find out that their audiobooks are only available on Audible. Like,
one of these does not compute.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my little moment on that. Okay. So we talked about where it was available already.
Okay.
Okay. So let's talk about Doc or Craig, and Ember. And I have to tell you, I really like how Susan did this, that he has a nickname for everybody else in the world, but the heroine calls him by his given name.
Every once in a while, she has a heroine who refuses to use their team name. Like, it's not always, but they're
this
like,
whole
I'd say
series alludes that they all call the heroes by their first name.
She might. Well, because Caroline, her first one, she refuses to use anybody's nicknames.
Yeah.
Like, everybody is their first name. She's like, I won't call you that. What is your real name?
Like Grover? I'm sorry. I can't look at a grown man and be like, hey, Grover. I think of Sesame Street and a grumpy. No, I'm not doing that.
You're not doing that. I will say I picked this book up at book 7. I didn't read any of the other books. I was the pages are not crowded because I expect a team dynamic, but they kept them really tight. Even with her support team and her support characters that were around, they really kept the guys and the girlfriends pretty tight for a book 7.
Yeah.
Yep.
But there were moments that I'm like, who's that guy? How many kids that guy got? Wait, does he have a wife? Is he the one looking for the girl that's missing? Like, I did have a couple of moments of like, who's that guy?
I think it helped that some of them were in the Olympics with them and then some were not. Yeah. And so like you kind of got to know like the ones that were at the Olympics a little bit more. And then when they came back.
Well, and the way that she structures her books, a lot of times, like the heroes and the heroines, like there's 1 or 2 out of the team that they're closer with. And so those are the ones that are on the page a little bit more. So you kind of understand their dynamic a little bit more. And it's not that the other ones are on the periphery. They're just not as focused and forward as some of the other ones. So like, if you're not like clear on who everybody is, and I mean, if you're not great with names, that doesn't help.
No.
So it may not be the book issue, but
it could be. It could be a Becky issue. I also will say we didn't content warning this, but the heroine Ember, she does have a stalker. There is some on-page violence. There is a bomb within a public place and a crowd. Yeah. So if those are sensitive subjects for you, this is probably not the book for you.
Well, and so that was one of the things I like. So it's the Olympics in South Korea, right? They're in South Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I've said that. I'm like, wait, is that the one that we're allowed to go to? Like, I had a moment of.
Well, and I think that it was her way of not making it in Tokyo because that was the summer. The Olympics were in Tokyo.
Well, it gives that like break from reality, but at the same time, like something like this, like has happened at Olympics before. Like maybe not to this magnitude, not to this scale, but these are real things that have happened.
1996, the bombing at the Olympic Park.
Yeah, like it is something that happened. It is something realistic, and it gives that like element that like just because this is a world event, there are people that do not care about that.
Well, no. And I will say, so I struggled a little bit with the stalker aspect.
Mm-hmm.
It's very light.
It is.
This is very
Mhm.
relationship heavy. The suspense is very light in this book.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
we learn who the stalker is in the end in the last like 10%. Um, I wish there had been more stalker sprinkled throughout, maybe more close calls, maybe more threats to her. Um, just because I feel like all of a sudden in that last 25%, she squeezed all the clues
Yeah.
into that last 25%.
Well,
I
but you
don't
also go
think
ahead,
Ember
Heather.
realized. I don't know if Ember, like, I don't know if Ember really was picking up on the fact that she had a
Really?
stalker.
Well,
Um,
because if you at the beginning of the book when she talks about like the social media aspect and what her parents do, like she has a team of people who take care of all the comments, deal with all that
well, but she
stuff.
took letters. So, like, in my opinion, that would have been a great place. Like, she had letters with her at the Olympic Village that she had gotten from her mom.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that have been a great place to, like,
Yeah,
slip something
but
in?
were they already screened? You know what I mean?
But it would have been, but we know that she
I'm
had
not
access.
disagreeing. I'm
I mean,
just
we
saying.
know she had access. I just feel like, and we talked about this with Anna Blakely's book.
Hmm.
I like the suspense. I
Yeah.
like the mystery. I like the who done it. Um, and so I want more. I think that creates intensity and between the couple, and that gives us. So they like to be honest. There was a lot of vibes between these two, right? Like it's
Hmm.
instant connection.
Mhm.
They're vibing, they're feeling it. And yeah, you have a couple pow moments, but don't you think like to kick up his protective nature just a little bit more or
Hmm.
to have her like backing away a little bit more and being a little more cautious about things, if we had had a little bit more of those stalker suspense moments
Trickles. Yeah.
sprinkled in, that it would have just given a little bit more context and content to the story and it would have been less fun. I mean, it was a great book. I really enjoyed it. Um
Well, but I wonder if part of it was like there was so much like the book itself, like you said, it is more relationship heavy, more character driven, and it was more about like Ember's growth of like taking charge of her life. And like
Mhm.
when she finally has like control, that's when things kind of like she kind of loses that control in that moment. So I wonder if maybe that's why we get more of the vibe feeling in like their relationship. And it's like she's really taking back something that she has lost for years and years.
well, and I was sad that we didn't get more of his family dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
hinted
me
at
too.
that he was a Caucasian baby or child
Yep.
adopted by a black family that were family friends, and he was raised with them. And some of the hardships he faced and they faced having a
Mm-hmm.
white child, adoptive child. I wish that we had had some interaction with his family.
Mm-hmm.
Just just that next level. I will I will say like the first 20% of the book was hard to get into. Um, and I don't know if it was because it was book 7, but like there was a lot of world building for the Olympics and a lot of who is
Mhm.
Ember as a character, which I
Mm-hmm.
didn't mind, but I feel like there were just some dynamics with more Stalker, a little bit more of his family and his background
Yeah.
that would have helped just push things along a little bit and
Yeah,
understand why
and
he's one of those instant connection boom kind of guys
Mm-hmm.
or why
and
she was for him.
she also is an athlete in a sort of a unique sport too,
Mm-hmm.
which is sort of like interesting now because like we're paying attention to badminton. Who would have thought we'd be
Yeah.
watching badminton on? And she's a my gosh,
Pentathlete.
Pentathlete.
Yeah.
yeah, I had no idea that them even existed.
Well, and that's the thing, like it's been around for forever basically, but like nobody's really talking about it.
I will say, if you listen to podcasts, because you're listening to us, check out the Stuff You Missed in History Class episode from yesterday. It's about events that are no longer part of the Olympics.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
And things like there used to be more long form types of
Hmm.
these competitions, tug of war, and why tug of war doesn't exist.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that used to be an Olympic
That's
sport,
awesome.
but now it's not anymore because there was controversy and scandal with tug of war.
like
I'm
track and
sure.
field day in elementary school.
Yeah, but it was a deal. And there was
I
like
mean, tug of war is
fisticuffs
like
and a scuttle.
intense.
Like it was, yeah.
I don't
Anyway,
know
go
about
listen to
in
that episode. It was really
Minnesota,
interesting.
but
Okay.
here in Harmony, tug of war gets intense.
Oh, yes. I
Yeah.
remember my husband's a fourth grade teacher. And he brings our 17-year-old every year to volunteer because then the 17-year-old can be on his team, his class team, and they win because the 17-year-old is
17-year-olds.
there.
Oh, he brings a ringer.
That's only good for one more year.
It's true.
Oh no, don't think that, college gets out real. Yeah, he'll be here.
It's so
Yeah,
funny.
but at a certain point, it gets like he's an adult. It doesn't count anymore.
Um,
6 months, he's an adult.
so I do feel like this book had three parts almost.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You've got the
Yeah, because it had
Olympics.
the Olympics, it had that middle section, and then you had like when she gets to Texas.
Well, no, you really like even I think she coming to Texas is part of that middle part.
Yeah,
I
you
think
think?
that like once she opens her school and moves, like once they have the sex and it's the intensity of the suspense, it feels like a
Mhm.
whole that part of the book moved way faster
Yeah.
yeah,
than
I did.
any of the other parts.
But I will say, like, if you read Susan, like her beginnings, I'd say the first like third of the book is a little like not every book, but the first third of most of her books are a little bit slower because it's like introducing the story and
Yeah.
like where she's going with it. And then like usually like the last two thirds is a little bit more active, but it depends on the book and like where she's going. Like the last book, like it opens up like intense. So
I thought we were going to get a second act breakup for a moment
mm,
because Doc was ready to do something really stupid.
he
Yeah, he
was.
was.
He was like making this choice that he was pulling away from her. He hadn't called her in 2 days. He was really freaking grouchy with everybody. And he was just done. Like he just emotionally couldn't handle long distance. Which, shut up, you big fat whiny baby, because you're gone how many days a month
I
for
know.
special assignments?
He's
You big
like,
stupid idiot.
he's also how much older than her, too.
Right. Oh, yeah, it was an age gap. We didn't even have that in there.
We didn't have that in there. I forgot about that. But he's like 10 years older than her, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, she's
Really?
25 and he's 37.
Yeah.
How did I miss that?
Nobody
Well, because
knows.
he's
But
on the
it's
verge of
okay.
retiring. He talks
Yeah.
about that, he's only got a couple years left and then he'll be done. And what will his life look like after? And her
But
commitment.
yeah, it's like you are how old? And fairly like well established
Yeah, I
in
mean, you
like
have a
your
house.
job.
Well, and he acts like he's the poorest guy that ever lived because he bought a like rundown house. He's special forces. He and the one of the other teammates is in a house with 6 bedrooms on sprawling acreage. Like,
Yeah.
how does one of your teammates have that kind of money, 3 kids, and a pool, and
Unless
you're like, oh, I have to live in this closet?
unless he's like my husband, who like when you go to the grocery store and he sees a $3 like thing, like bottle of like ranch, he's like, do you think we need that?
Mm.
It's kind of expensive. And it's like, I could buy the $7 bottle of ranch, but
Buy the
I'm going
freaking
with the
ranch and
$3
shut up.
one.
I can't
Well, then
stand
he
him.
would hate me because I don't buy ranch. I buy it in the produce section because that's better.
Well, no, that's what I do if I don't make it at home. So,
Yeah.
well, because the girl has very sensitive skin and will get welts if we buy certain foods. Like if it touches her face, she gets welts. So we had to, it's a whole thing. It's okay. So we had to we have to buy the semi-expensive ranch so she doesn't get welts on her face.
Oh.
But do we need to spend that $5
Someone's
or
child needs to see an
$3 on your
allergist,
lunch?
but you know.
Hey, we don't need to see it. We have it under control.
Um,
She doesn't get the welts because we avoid the foods.
I think he's probably frugal. Like, I think he sort of has just lived, like, I hate to use the word simple, but like, he's kind of a basic
Cheapskate.
guy.
Well,
cheapskate.
and that's a conversation she has. I was, when she's sitting on his porch, she's like, I didn't know if your neighbors were going to call the police on me. And he's like, well, that neighbor is black and that neighbor is black. You're fine.
Yeah.
And those are real conversations having in Texas for sure, right? And really in a lot of neighborhoods right now, unfortunately. So, I mean, that was really a relatable statement. Heather, did you read any of the 1-star reviews on this book?
No,
They made me
No.
so angry. So angry.
Why?
Because people are mean and stupid. Because they accused Susan of putting like her political agenda forward in this book. And she's very clear to talk about consent, women's rights, what it's like to be a black woman, what it's like to live in an area that's being gentrified, and some of the privilege that Ember has from being from Beverly Hills, and that she recognizes this, and people felt like Susan was shoving her political views and trying to educate them through her book.
But people were also showing their whole asses too.
They were. But this is why, the only reason I bring this up is this is a really good example where we can say the simplest of books are political. Art is political. Books are art. Art is political.
Well, also, I mean, I would argue that that's like fact. I mean, I think about just there was that conversation that he had when he said, my brother and I were at a party and they held my brother down on the ground and I was yelling at the cop and he ended up in jail.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And talks about
unfortunately,
his adopted parents were stopped at the amusement park because they were walking off with a white child and they kept questioning him to make sure he hadn't been kidnapped.
Yeah.
And separated him from his family.
Right.
Yeah. I like that section still like burns me up. But sadly, that is what happens.
Well, yes, but I think Susan handled it so incredibly well. The topics that she broaches in the subject, and that was the other piece of it too, is as I was reading it, I went back and I double checked to make sure she had used a sensitivity reader or a consultant to make sure that those things were done with care and correctly. And it's not that I doubted Susan, because we know Susan.
But
Susan's a constant professional.
But
I would do it on any author
like this. Like, we always are curious to see if that side of it was taken care of.
Yeah. And she did a phenomenal job.
Yeah. I agree.
Is there anything else in this book we want to talk about?
What did he kind of had a dirty mouth. I mean, like when it finally popped, I mean,
and some breeding kink.
Yeah, he did.
The dirty mouth, like even before they even had sex, like the conversations, I was like, and even she's like, you gotta stop because otherwise we're not leaving the house.
But consent was important and he would not take advantage.
No, there was absolute consent.
Dirty mouth and all.
I love that in her drunken state, she gave him a big giant hickey. And he's like, the guys are just not going to let this one go.
And I could see him being like, look at
Look at what I got.
Also,
look at my pride.
The word that makes me laugh every time I hear it is the gussy. It's the piece in your underwear. Like the crotch of your underwear is actually called a gussy. That's like the actual terminology. It's said 3 times in the book and it made me laugh.
3?
Yeah, said 3 times.
Well, anytime she talks about the underwear.
Yeah, anytime she talks about the underwear, she says the word gussy. Like he slid it to the side.
Yeah.
Anyway. But I just think that's a hilarious word. It made me laugh. Because sometimes I'm a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah, seriously.
Well,
Um,
I highlight all of his dirty talking, so if that makes me dirty, then
I did find it
he
funny
was a
that
little
when
obsessed with her boobs. I'm
he's
just saying.
definitely a boob guy.
Do we want to talk about her body and the way that Susan did such a great and amazing job just describing her body type?
the
Yeah,
fact that like she's muscular, but she's still like normal.
yeah.
Well, muscular, she still has a little bit of a stomach. You know,
Well,
she's
he's
fit.
like when he mentions how much he loves her
Her
pooch.
fupa, yeah, yeah,
Like she has a fupa basically. It's like thank you for giving her like a normal body. Like she's fit, she's in shape, but
Mhm.
she is normal.
yeah,
Oh, and I mean, the fact that she's like a really good shot. There's all this stuff that comes into play, and he just never. He is always uplifting her.
yeah,
That is one thing too, because like she's almost a better shot than him,
Hmm.
but he's like, that's great. Like that's a really good thing to be. Like he
Hmm.
encourages the fact that like she is like good at these things that is somewhat better than he is. Because you don't always get that, because you get like these types of characters sometimes and they're like so like alpha and asshole-ish, and it's like they like a woman cannot be better than me at anything like this.
yeah,
And he is super supportive in all the ways.
yeah. Well, and she even
Hmm.
says, "What if I want to dominate you and tie you up?" And he's like, "Cool, but I get to do it to you too."
Yeah. There's a give and take.
Yeah, I thought that was really well done too.
Yeah,
Like nobody was
good.
pigeonholed into this book. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he while it is a protector romance, he is protective and he's an over the top protector, but he wasn't controlling.
No.
And I think that that is another thing that makes it an enjoyable read, and that
Mm-hmm.
another reason Susan's heroes are often talked about
Yeah.
because they kind of have that little bit softer side.
Yeah, sometimes. I do
Um,
think it was funny. They talked about the condom bowls in Olympic Village, though.
yes, they did.
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah.
It's
I
true,
was kind
though.
of waiting for them to mention the cardboard beds, and then I'm like, oh wait, that's this Olympics,
No,
not
there were
that one.
cardboard beds. Cardboard beds started in 2021 with the Tokyo
Mhm.
Olympics because they
Well,
were.
but so Susan, back in the early 90s, actually went to the Olympic trials for swimming. Did you know that?
No.
She did not qualify, unfortunately, but yes,
Didn't
she
know that.
swam the Olympic trials for, I think it was the 100-meter freestyle.
Amazing.
Hmm.
I did know
Did I
that.
mention that we're best friends on Pokemon Go?
I think you have
I'm
before.
just saying, best
So if
friends.
you play Pokemon Go, Susan is always looking for new friends.
Yeah.
Can I also, I just like a little shout out to Susan. If you are not on her newsletter, you should. I get a lot of author newsletters. Hers is always great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
They're thoughtful. They're not just sent to send.
Hmm.
She shares a
Yep.
little insight into her life and how things are going. She
Hmm.
talks about her books. She talks about what's coming
Hmm.
next. She'll answer questions. I do find Susan has a great personality and is super engaging to talk to.
Hmm.
So even if you're like meh about her books, as a human, she's a pretty outstanding human.
Hmm.
And she's super honest and transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like about this whole Kindle Unlimited, and explains why. And she even says, like, I'm not going to make everyone happy,
Yeah.
but I have readers that can't or don't read Kindle Unlimited. So I have both.
Yeah.
And she's
Hmm.
very transparent because she's an author and this is her job. Like,
Yeah.
this is how she earns money.
Right. And she made Mr.
And
Stoker go get a job. So
she also has books free all the time.
all the
Yeah.
time.
And it isn't the same ones. She has a rotation and she always sends them out on her newsletter.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And she's just a great human.
Well, and if you're a KU reader and you're not finding enough Susan Stoker, she has what, 3 Montlake series
Yeah.
that are read and listens in Kindle Unlimited?
Is it 3 or is it 4? Hold on, let me.
There's
Wow.
the towing, there's the
1,
current one.
2, no, there's 4.
There's 4.
Silverstone, Ace Security, Game of Chance, and
Whatever this current one is.
no, this is Game of Chance. 1, 2. I
I
I
have
think it's,
a
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe it is only 3, but I could have sworn it was 4.
Hold on.
Okay.
I have a
Oh.
spreadsheet.
Well,
Of course you do.
so before we get to Heather's spreadsheet, let's go ahead and do our thumbs up, thumbs down.
Okay.
Leah, is this a thumbs up, thumbs down book for you?
It's a thumbs up for me.
Heather, is this a thumbs up, thumbs down book for you?
This is a thumbs up.
This is a thumbs up for me. I really did enjoy this book. There was some pacing issues, some things I wanted, but overall it was a really easy read. It was a very good listen. I was super impressed by the audio narrator.
I might have to get the audiobook just
Me too.
because like I'm really intrigued by it now.
It
Or
was-
just search for this Nina Archer chick and see what I can find. by
I was
her.
super impressed. If you like this book, what other books should people try? And one of the ones for me that came up for me is the Buchanan, Claiborne, Julie Garwood series. It's a multi-book series, big giant family. You have a little bit of everything. You've got lawyers, you got doctors, you got FBI men. That whole series is very similar as far as like the big bads and the stalkers and the suspense elements.
Mhm. Actually, if you are looking for more series like this and you're not sure where to go, Susan's World is open to multi-authors. So you can kind of pick and choose who you want to read, how you want to read. There's novellas, there's full length, there's shorter books, there's longer books. That is how I found a few different authors, but it's in the Stoker Aces world. No, the Operation Alpha world. Stoker Aces is her publishing company. But if you want to find other series, check those out. Or you can just message me because I live in the suspense.
Yeah. Heather, do you have any books you think people would
yeah.
like?
I think Janie Crouch is a really great one. I really like
Mhm.
her linear tactical. She
Mhm.
also has the like, oh my gosh, the signs, the different signs. I can't.
Zodiac Tactical.
Yeah, the Zodiac Tactical.
It's the spin-off from Linear, and she's actually in the second gen of Linear right now.
Obviously Anna Hackett, love the Sentinel Security series, and then she just released like 2 super good novellas. So if you're kind of unsure, but send the Sentinel Security. Oh, I got balloons. Sorry.
Happy day.
I shared Sentinel Security on my Instagram, and somebody's like, "Where do I start?" And you start with Wolf.
Okay. I think Catherine Cowell is similar, but I actually think character development for Susan is better.
Yeah.
So Catherine Cowell could be a comparative also. Okay. So make sure you are back here on Sunday for our next episode. I am not 100% sure what our topic is.
Oh,
It happens.
We have something, but I think we might be changing it.
I mean, that sounds about right.
So just come back Sunday. We're going to talk about books.
Yeah.
And then we are back next Wednesday with The Sweet Spot by Bella Matthews.
Yes.
So I'm excited. That's not an author. I think we've only featured her once. And that's something too that's come up in conversation. Like, how do we pick these books?
Yeah.
And really it comes down to, we have certain criteria we're trying to meet. One, we're trying to variety of authors. So like, I think in September we're doing like 2 debuts.
Yes.
And we're trying to cover all corners of romance. So like, you know, we're a lot of contemporary, some suspense. We're trying to pick a backlist author. We're definitely trying to make sure we are hitting either like BIPOC or Asian Pacific Islander or LGBT,
The alphabet.
the Alphabet Mafia books.
Well, but also like we're going for books that we might not necessarily read, like authors that are like newer on the
Yeah.
horizon for us, because like we have our go-tos, and yes, we're gonna still do those every once in a while, but we want to challenge ourselves to find new authors as well.
If you're looking for Sawyer Bennett reviews, if you're looking for Melissa Foster reviews, check out our Patreon. Check out our Quick Shots of Romance that are over there. They're probably going to stick over there. Carrie Elks, they're going to stick out over there. Marie Johnston. Ones that we've talked a lot about in the past, we're probably not necessarily, unless it's a book club author, we're probably not bringing them to Wednesdays.
Unless there's a book that we really, really, really
Well,
need to
unless
talk
it's a new
about.
anticipated release or it's it's an author that everyone's like, where do I start?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's something too. If you have somebody that you want us to read or want us to try, or it is an author that you don't know where to start because they have giant backlists, that's something that like just message us on
Well,
those too.
message us, but I will also say, caveat that a little bit, that one of us, of the six, there's six of us, right? Yeah.
Yes.
One of
I've
the
probably
six of
read
us is
them.
pre-reading every book and
Mm-hmm.
trying to make sure that at least 2 to 3 of the hosts are going to enjoy that book, which is part of the reason, like, you don't see us doing much Mafia right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we did
Becky and I
Karis.
are the only ones.
Leah will read some Mafia, but like Jenny and Amanda, it's not big for them. It's part of the
Mm-hmm.
reason we're not doing a ton of like paranormal. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of put that out there that it's a whole process. 2 of the 4 picks are community driven. And then we're just trying to stay on top and bring you new authors. And we're melting here because we don't have air conditioning. So we're going to wrap this up.
I just want to say about the Bella Matthews for next week is book 4 in the series. So if you really want, you could read.
And it's
the
second
previous
gen
3.
from her King's series.
Yeah.
And it's not an audio yet. So
It's not
make
on
sure
audio.
you get it and read it.
Okay.
It is KU though, so
It is.
It is KU.
Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us for this episode of Buzzing About Romance.
it's always a good time. We went way off topic today,
We
but hey,
did.
what else is new?
Weird.
Until next time, everybody.
Happy reading, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.